Bo Jackson could line up anywhere.
Yeah.
Line up anywhere. I love Cam Newton. I'm just here to defend Bo Jackson a little bit.
So I just brought up 2010, and I think you can look at a correlation there because there was a lot of adversity that team was able to overcome each and every week and continue to win. And then I also think, what was the other point I was going to make? Completely lost my train of thought.
It's okay. We went from the Final Four all the way back to classic Bo Jackson.
To Virginia.
Talk.
Virginia losing as a 1 to a 16, a little bit different, but losing to Yale in the first round. I think that this team had so much to prove coming back, not only in the regular season, but once they got to these mini tournaments each and every weekend to continue to advance, to get to San Antonio, and to finally cut down the nets for Bruce Pearl.
Taylor Korn is in San Antonio. Coverage starts there this afternoon at Next Round Live, brought to you by our wonderful friends at Culver's there. If you want to jump on, welcome to Delicious, our friends at Culver's. Never frozen hamburger patties there. I get 2 patties on mine. You can get 3 on them if you want, and go with a single, however you want to do that. Don't forget the custards, whatever you want.
Welcome in to the Pennant Grace. My name is Emily Grace McWhorter. We have our Dodgers correspondent in studio today, Reed Taylor, and we also have Commissioner Joshua Sisk, but he has his little iPhone thing on. He's paused right now. We will get to him. He looks lovely today. There he is.
Yeah.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you doing a photo shoot for GQ today?
Yes, I just left a photo shoot. I'm here live from Peach Park. If you're familiar with I-65, you are familiar with Peach Park. I had to get out of town. The Braves were playing so badly, I had to leave town.
Yeah. So I have committed to wearing ashes and sackcloth if we continue to lose by Tuesday. So we can correlate our burlap if you are interested as well.
Can do. Yeah. Does Roback sell burlap by chance? Have any of you seen that in the website?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, but if they have it,
I would
PG20.
suggest it.
Yes, and PG20 will get you 20% off your Roback burlap. But I think we should all commit to that next week. But the Braves played the Dodgers, and we have our Dodgers correspondent. And Reed, give us your just initial thoughts.
Well, first off, I didn't get to watch the games live because I have YouTube TV, so I had to follow it on my Gamecast on my phone, but was keeping up with it as we went. Thought that the win streak for the Dodgers was over last night, and Braves just blew some opportunities. Bases loaded, no outs, couldn't score a run. And what's crazy about the Dodgers, they're 8-0, but they've trailed in 6 of the 8 games. Freddie Freeman's missed 5 of those games. Mookie Betts has missed, I think, 3 of those games. It's they're finding ways to win it, which is great because I mean, as we all know in baseball, you got to do the little things right to win the games, and they're doing the little things right, and it's been fun to watch.
Well, we're happy that someone is enjoying their team because certainly me and Ush are not in that camp. Ush, did you have a chance to catch any of the game last night?
I did. Saw the whole game, and it's interesting in Dave Roberts' tenure there, and Reed and I have talked about this. I think Dave Roberts is a little underrated, to be honest. Obviously, the tremendous success, their playoff team every year, and he has 2 World Series to his resume now. People, and I believe rightly so, saying this is the best squad that he has had. Now, as great as last year's team was, Reed can attest to the fact that their rotation was absolutely decimated by injuries and doesn't get enough attention probably because they continued to win and obviously won a championship. But that you have a healthier rotation this year, and what a lot of people are saying is the best bullpen in Dave Roberts' tenure in L.A., which spans a pretty good amount of time. So you take what they had last year, the pieces they've added, put in the health, and you have the best bullpen you've had. Buster Only this morning talking was asked, is it out of the realm of possibility that this Dodger team wins 120 games? And he said, that sounds ridiculous. Here's the thing. It's not ridiculous. Yes, it's possible. We have never seen, this is Buster's quote, we have never seen a team like this.
Well, and you talked about the injuries last year and all that. One of the key things that Andrew Friedman's done since he's been with the Dodgers is build depth and versatility. And if you look at the lineup from 2 nights ago, you look at that 1 through 9, and you're like, this team doesn't look that great because Freddie was out, Mookie was out, and you got people like Chris Taylor that's batting 125. He got 1 hit so far this year. But that's what makes them over 162 games. They have the best depth in baseball, and they have for a while. And last year they were finally able to put it together to win the World Series. They were always in the playoffs. They got to always do great in the regular season, win the West, but at times they faltered in the playoffs because it wasn't necessarily about depth at that point.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of playoffs, no team has started 0-7 and made the postseason. So my question to you guys, is it too early to start discussing the Braves' postseason hopes? What has to turn around? What do you guys need to see immediately? And I'm curious, read your opinion, because you're kind of an outside, looking in when it comes to the Braves.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's too early. I mean, I really do, because I think they've got players that are coming back, Acuna and some of those guys.
Strider.
And I still think they're a playoff team. Now, it's too early to think about, but if they aren't a playoff team for whatever reason, that trade deadline is going to be very interesting because people like Ozuna might be available. And he might be at that point could be the top hitter, and you might get some really good value. Not necessarily that you have to get these, prospects that are 3 and 4 years away. You can get that prospect that's a year away. But to answer your question, from me looking at it, I really still think they have a roster once they're healthy that's a playoff roster, and I think they will be in this thing till the end.
Yeah, Ush.
I'm an eternal optimist, but I'm going to switch it on you, partner, and say. First off, to your question, is it too early to be talking about that? No, because of the historical fact that you mentioned. No team has ever started 0-7 and made it. If I had to bet, I think the Braves are going to end up being sellers, to Reed's point, and I would say they would not make the playoffs. Now, I also reserve the right to say it's entirely possible that they do, and that they, look, they're going to win a game at some point, and they'll get it. But it has a feeling of one of those lost years, and it's interesting to see what they end up doing and who would be someone that would be on the selling block. Now, Reed mentioned Marcel. I think that's probably the most likely, and you would get a haul for him unless he is continuing to struggle like everyone is struggling right now. But in that division, from what we've seen with runners in scoring position, it is very difficult to currently envision Atlanta as a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that we've talked about for so long is the Braves' inability to bring those runners in. And Robert in the chat says, we were gifted 3 of the 5 runs last night and still blew it.
Did you ever feel confident last night, EG? Because
I didn't.
I did. Yeah. So I wasn't as crushing as it was, and Shohei walking it off. I was never in a position. I wasn't celebrating early. I was waiting for LA to come back.
Well, let me ask you all this. I mean, in Ush, I don't think you were in Birmingham at this time, but back in the day, Bama football one year started off 0-3, and this was like 91 maybe or 9. And Tony Curry, Birmingham radio legend, went on a billboard and slept on a billboard and stayed on the billboard until they win their first game.
Oh no!
What can we come up with for somebody that they does EG need to move into the office and can't leave the office until they win the first game? We need to come up with something with this.
I don't hate
this.
Does
the office have hot water? Yeah, does the office have hot water, ET?
I mean, if they have hot water, I might be more inclined because I've been out of hot water for the last couple of days. I don't hate this idea. I mean, I think that, the Braves do have the home opener, and the ship appears, it could be righted. It's the Marlins, and Jim Dunaway continually jokes that it feels like the Braves only play the Marlins, and it kind of does seem like that we are constantly somehow in a series with the Marlins. if the Braves do not win a game by Tuesday, I will commit to showing up in burlap and ashes. Guy, you can hold me to it.
So
Go ahead, Ish.
we'll come up with something because I do think it's a good idea. Going back again to last night, that some of that early success for Atlanta was predicated on errors from did Max Muncy have 2 errors?
He had 2 errors.
I believe?
Yep.
Costly errors. And so it's not like they were just, the bats were on fire or something. They were gifted some of that as well. A positive, because I like to take some type of positive away. That was not a bad start from Bryce Elder. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would say it wasn't bad, but I don't think you can build around him.
No, I don't either. But, that could have gone the reason I bring it up, that could have gone disastrous.
Right.
And it didn't. It never went off the rails as far as Bryce Elder went.
Well, and I think the other thing, too, is Blake Snell was struggling with his control early. He put some base runners on base himself. And if you're playing a good baseball team, you get base runners on, you've got to capitalize. And they just couldn't last night. And and it's such a rally killer when you start off with bases loaded. I think it was in the 4th or 5th inning. And bases loaded, no outs. And Ozuna, arguably one of your most clutch hitters over the last couple of years, comes up and hits a fly ball to center. And they hold the guy at third, which – he might have scored, but they didn't want to take a chance to throw him out because you still got, a couple guys coming up. And if you don't take advantage of that, you're not going to win games.
And that I feel no, go ahead, Ush.
Well, I was just going to say there's no give in that Dodgers lineup.
No.
And so, they can beat you from wherever.
Yes.
And, the meat of the Braves order, really disappointing. Really disappointing.
Well, I think that's the conversation that needs to be had this coming weekend. Obviously, the Braves head back to Truist Park, and there's been some comments, Austin Riley saying that it's embarrassing personally and professionally to not be able to deliver in those moments. And, my question for you guys is what has to give to get the offense back on track? But is it a mental block that we're facing right now? Is it, the new hitting coach? Like, what are you guys seeing that is preventing this, on paper, offensive superpower from being that?
The first time I thought of the hitting coach, you mentioning it there, I don't know. So much of baseball is mental. Austin Riley should be embarrassed. Austin Riley, has the biggest contract in Braves history, and he's not producing. And no one is producing.
Right.
So they should be embarrassed, and you want them, they're concerned, and you want them. It's interesting because you also don't want them to panic, and you don't want it to get too inside their head.
You're panicking a little too much.
Ultimately, I am. Ultimately, you just want them to produce, and I don't know what it's going to take to get that. But a series against Miami might be exactly what this club needs.
Reed, thoughts?
Well, good timing coming up versus the Marlins. But, sometimes at the first of these seasons, you're playing, and it's, and LA's not the coldest place. But, these guys are playing in cold weather. Sometimes it takes the bats a little bit to wake up. I think the Astros are struggling. I think I saw something where they've scored only a couple games over 3 runs. I saw freaking the Cincinnati Reds back-to-back games lost, 1-0 to the Rangers. The bats aren't alive, but it's just it seems like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, and that's why I kind of feel like they're going to snap out of this. Obviously, they're too good of a talented team. I know the injuries are still there a little bit, but they're too talented not to turn this thing around. And I still think they're going to be I think they'll be the first team to ever start off 0-7 and end up in the playoffs.
I love the enthusiasm. I do feel that way. I think that, you mentioned, Reed, that it feels like it's just a matter of time. We're so close. There's so much talent. But we've been saying that since last season. So, again, it just goes back to I'm really curious what that breakthrough moment will be.
Yeah.
will it be the home opener in Truist? Will it be at the deadline that they get some new pieces in, or what is it going to take? But that sentiment has been said quite frequently.
Well, and I'll tell you the other thing too is, and I don't know who's at AAA right now, but sometimes you pull somebody up and it kind of sparks the team a little bit.
Yeah.
Years ago, Cody Bellinger, his first year with the Dodgers, he came up in May and they were a 500 team. And he was on fire at one point, and then the rest of the team got hot, and they played in the playoffs, played in the World Series. So there's probably some things they probably are. I mean, obviously they're trying to make every move possible to win a game, but there's probably somebody at AAA they're looking up like, hey, can that person come in and have a little bit of a spark to set us up?
Mm-hmm. Well, I do want to take us to this. So Willie in the chat says, I don't understand all the hate on AA. He was clearly handcuffed by ownership. Best players are not performing at all. Snit skepticism I can understand way more so than Alex Anthopoulos. So, in some Braves news today, the Braves ownership group did acquire Pennant Park. You guys seen this?
I have not.
34 acres. And it looks to be office space from what I'm gathering. It's Pennant Park Office Complex. Maybe we can get a Pennant Grace office in there.
There you go.
Thoughts? And, there's been some rumors, some discussion. Willie brings it up about the ownership group. Now, I do have a few shares in the Braves.
Oh.
I know. I do have a few of those shares.
No wonder you're panicked about
Right?
this whole start.
It was a great graduation gift. If you have a Braves fan in your life and they're graduating, or you want to just give them a cool gift, give them some stocks in the Braves. But with that being said, do you guys agree with this? What are y'all's takes on Snit so far, Alex Anthopoulos, and this discussion that really it wasn't AA, it was more the ownership group? Ush, we'll start with you.
Yeah, we talked about this Tuesday, and I'm going to completely flip-flop here.
Okay.
As a politician, I reserve the right to flip-flop as often as I want to. Understanding I wasn't necessarily myself critical of Anthopoulos, but I was very understanding of the position. Hey, why weren't some of these moves made? And I've thought a lot about that since Tuesday, and I've come around to this. With no moves made, with that roster, including injuries, understanding Ronald Acuna is not in the lineup yet, understanding Spencer Strider has not joined the rotation yet, with that lineup, there is no way the Braves should be performing this way. This is on the players not producing. It's not on how the lineup is drawn up. It's not on the contracts of the guys that they have there. They have a team in place that is built to compete for a championship. Even looking at it, and there was a joke made yesterday at yesterday's roster going into the game, is this a split game like during spring training? Yeah. But even with some of the names that you're not used to seeing, there's enough names there, and with more coming on the way, that you should be competing. So I'm putting this on the players. I do think that you can discuss some of the moves that were not made, but ultimately the lack of success in the first 7 games of this season for Atlanta is on the shoulder of the players not producing at the plate.
And I'm in agreement with you on that. The one thing I didn't like from Snit was that he came out the other day and said that he might retire at the end of the season. And I just didn't like the timing of it, almost like he's frustrated to the point of, this might be my last year. But it 100% is on the players. I mean, I looked some up before we came on. So Braves are 0-7. They've scored 14 runs. They've had 33 hits in 7 games. Batting 151. They've been shut out twice. Scored 1 run in 2 games. And the bullpen has blown 3 games.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So everything is it's the perfect storm to have a terrible start to a season. And that's why I really feel like this team's something's gonna click. Strider coming back, Acuna coming back eventually. Something's gonna click, and they're gonna make a run at this thing. I don't see them being out. I really don't.
Robert says AA.
Well, EG, when a team is on a hot streak, you always say, "Well, we know this can't last."
Yeah.
Well, on a freezing cold streak, that can't last either. And so I agree with Reed. Obviously, they're not going to continue on this path. The question is, will it? will it elevate itself to them being a playoff
Yes.
team? And that's what
Yes.
is something that, if I had to say today, I say no. I say that even if they right the ship and improve, which you have to improve from here, in that division, I still feel like it's going to be a difficult thing to do.
I agree with you, Ush, that the question is it yes, you're completely on the money. This has to shift somewhat. There has to be a moment with this talent of a roster. You can't stay on a cold streak this long. Agree 100%. It is crazy that it is April 3rd, and we are talking about, is this a playoff team? But that's the crux of this, right? It's playoffs. It's not necessarily will this, be righted. It's can this team that we have seen for the last week that have performed so incredibly poorly based on the numbers that Reed just gave us, get to a point where we are still talking about them in October.
Yeah.
It really is.
See,
I mean, it's crazy to think about.
To clear it up for everyone.
We'll let Reed take this one.
Twice.
Well, go ahead and finish it.
Well, I was asked twice, what are you guys going to talk about today? Y'all still in Pennant Grace? Hey, 7-0 and 0-7 are speaking on behalf of my partner. Our love for the Braves does not die.
No.
I watch this team regardless of what the record is, and we will continue Braves country to bring you Pennant Grace content, regardless of record. I just wanted to get that out there.
Well, and the thing I was going to say about also we're talking this is playoff team. The only thing that does scare me is the Phillies and Mets in this division.
Of course.
Because those teams are pretty stacked as well, right? So it's not just, I do think the Braves can get there, but, having 3 from that division isn't impossible, but it can be tough.
It's not impossible. And I think, as Ush said, we will still give you guys content. And this has actually been incredible information from our Dodgers correspondent and Ush, you on the road in Peach Park. And we will be back with you guys on Thursday, or today is Thursday, on Tuesday. We've had all of our days mixed up.
Tuesday.
You've had such a busy week, you don't realize what day it is.
I know, that's crazy. We will be back on Tuesday. And like I said, I will hold it to you guys. It'll be in sackcloth and ashes if this all, somehow does not get turned around this weekend. One quick thing before I let you guys go. Have you heard about how fans potentially are wanting to boo the team in Truist? I feel like that's not very Braves country of us.
No.
I've not heard that, and I don't like it at all. If you're going to do that, don't show up. Support your team. And, I hope that does not happen. Real quick, to Reed's point, I do feel that the team that will challenge the Dodgers in the National League is Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'll tell you this. It's funny. The Dodgers 8-0. Mm-hmm. Look at their standings. Padres 7-0, right on their heels. And
what do those two teams have in common, Reed?
They played the Braves.
Play the Braves.
Well, hey, the real telling point this time would be if the Marlins sweep y'all.
It's an us problem.
Yeah.
Now, someone did say in the chat at the very beginning, let me go find it, did the Braves just play the best 2 teams in the NL? Potentially.
Yeah, no doubt.
The Dodgers, for sure. I don't know yet on San Diego. And Reed,
I'll tell you this.
Hard to say. For them.
I'll tell you this about the Padres. The thing is, 2 years ago they traded Juan Soto, right? And guy, don't get me wrong, fantastic player. His numbers weren't like Ohtani numbers when they traded him, right? But I think the key to the Padres is, number one, they've been talking about trading Dylan Cease because of what they can get for him. And he's a potential ace. And so if they trade him at any point, not going to trade him if they're really in this thing long term, but they can get a haul for him. But the thing that I like more than anything is they just signed Jackson Merrill, their center fielder, and he is an absolute stud. And that guy,
long-term deal, wasn't it? Reed?
Oh yeah, I mean, because he's still got some arbitration years, but they went ahead and they were trying to save money on the front end. I mean, on the back end of it. But they signed him to like an 8-year deal. I'm telling you, that guy might be in the race for the for the MVP in the National League, and he's going to keep them. He's kind of like that spark that I talked about. Like when he's in the lineup, they feel like a different team.
Yeah. Well, the TV below us, you can't see this, Pat McAfee and his career discussing Shohei's walk-off. So on that note, we are also going to walk it off. Make sure you're back with us Tuesday at 12:15 Central. Follow us at the Pennant Grace. And as you are mourning, if you want to do some retail therapy, Rowback is a great place to go for that. Use code PG20 at checkout. You get 20% off your order. Final thoughts from you two, and then we'll wrap up. Reed?
First thought, I agree with you on the Rowback.
Yes.
I ordered some gear myself the other day. Most comfortable shirts, shorts, anything.
Incredible.
No, hey, listen. I will come back in here on Tuesday
Okay.
and say I was completely wrong that the Braves are not a playoff team if they go 0-3 versus the Marlins.
Okay.
I don't see it happening, though.
Okay. Ush?
Just win a game.
And that will do it for the Pennant Grace. Just win a game. We'll be back with you guys Tuesday at 12:15. Until then, follow us at the Pennant Grace and use code PG20 at checkout at rowback.com.